Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double A Team podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Nagishi, along with my co-host, the associate editor of sports blog Awful Announcing, Ken Fang. Ken, good afternoon. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday. Obviously, our conversation today, we're going to be focusing a lot on the Olympics as we close down on the first week of the Olympics, and obviously the athletes themselves are the main focus, for better or for worse. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about the NFL Hall of Fame ceremony that is also taking place this afternoon in Canton, Ohio, as well. And Ken, as somebody who does this for a living, I'm sure that this time of the year, especially, has to be very, very busy and also satisfying for you as well.
It is, and if you have issues with the fan that's on next to me, let me know.
No. I'm okay.
Okay, but I have it on next to me. It's very hot here where I am, so if it's having an issue with the microphone or causing an issue with the sound,
it's hot as hell out here as well, where I'm in Michigan too. So
yeah, so just let me know. In any event,
no problem.
Let's talk a little bit about. Well, yeah, it's been a very busy day here in. It's a busy week for us, especially who covers sports media, and of course NBC's. Having the coverage of the 2024 Olympics in Paris. The numbers are great. We'll talk about several issues that are going on. Like Katie Ledecky is going to go for probably her last gold medal of this Olympics. She's talking about going to Los Angeles, so we can't say if it's of her career. But it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be definitely a fun time, especially when we have all these things going on. NFL just started. You had the Hall of Fame game, which happened on Thursday, which of course got suspended because of the rain. I forgot. Yep. Stephen told me that the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony is just going on. I know Bears fans are really happy to see Devin Hester get into the Hall of Fame. I guess I heard that.
Yeah, he's being inducted as we speak right now. So.
I see. I heard there was some really bad rain in Ohio earlier, so I don't know if that affected the ceremony. Yeah. It did? Okay. So, I guess that delayed the ceremonies a bit, but ESPN and NFL Network are showing that. So, but a lot of things going on in the Olympics, like track and field and swimming going on. A lot of medals. Unfortunately, Communist China has the most gold medals. There's talk about some doping going on in the swimming pool, which only has had one world record. In a pool that's very slow, and that was set by a Chinese swimmer. And of course, there's a controversy, which Rowdy Gaines and I discussed last month in regards to the Chinese swimmers, and several Australian officials feel that world record set in the pool this week by the Chinese swimmer, I think it was in the 100-meter. It was in the 100-meter freestyle. They felt that was not humanly possible, especially in a pool that is known for being slow, and there's been no world record set. So that's interesting too. But anyway, a lot of things to discuss today, and we're glad you're with us, and we hope that you remain with us here on the Double A Team for about the next hour or so.
Absolutely. Let's start off with the ceremony that took place, I believe, last Friday.
Yes,
about 1 o'clock. Eastern time in our here in the stateside, and obviously it got a lot of attention for the better for worse. We can't use the footage of any of the photos or even the video for that matter, because it would be a copyright violation against the IOC. So, but I'm sure a lot of people have already seen or heard about it by now. The opening ceremony, which featured the headless Marie Antoinette, and then the band Gojira, the playing music.
That. Yeah, that was tremendous. I love heavy metal, so that to see heavy metal in the opening ceremony was right up my alley. There was controversy, of course, the Christian right saw a scene that way they thought was mocking the Last Supper, which it was not. It was
Right.
basically showing a scene from Greek mythology, which was very important. Of course, if you know, the Olympics are based on Greek mythology and the modern Olympic Games, and of course, the original Olympics were held in Greece. But people like Harrison Butker made a huge controversy out of nothing, and the French Olympic Organizing Committee actually apologized, which they really didn't have to do.
Right.
But to be honest with you, they did it anyway, and it's just
Right.
really silly how the whole thing came
It's
about.
kind of funny that the people that you least expect to apologize is most of the time it's French people. They don't
Yeah,
really give a shit at times anyway.
right. I was just it was dumb. It's really dumb. And
Right.
but the best part of it was Celine Dion singing "L'Hymne d'Amour," uh, which was beloved by the French, originally sung by Edith Piaf. Um, if you
Yeah.
know the story about Celine Dion, she had a documentary earlier this year on Amazon talking about her stiff person syndrome. The fact that she was singing there was absolutely tremendous. It's probably the best part of the opening ceremony, Stephen, last Friday, and
Right.
it really it took a lot of people by well, it didn't take people by surprise because when she landed in Paris last week, immediately ran speculation that she would take part in the opening ceremony, but it was really great to see.
Yeah, I think we kind of gotten a hint that when the NHL draft took place, what was it June, I believe, June
Yeah,
or
just 2
July,
weeks.
first week
It
around.
was like almost like a couple of weeks beforehand. So
Right, right. Yeah, she was there to announce the Montreal Canadiens
yes,
first overall selection. So there was a bit of an inkling that she was available, or she was actually going to make her presence felt, despite her medical condition. So I thought it was great overall. Like you, I've enjoyed heavy metal to a degree. Gojira is somebody that I've heard of, not to an extent. It's like the first time I've heard of that the Gojira is originally from France. They're obviously, somewhat, maybe not the music that everybody's used to hearing, but good for them. Their band members are usually socially active and in raising awareness. Some of the members are. So if you know about Gojira or the French history and all that stuff, they can tell Harrison Buckers or the bunch of right wingers from Fox News and people who get upset over about the smallest of things to go kiss their ass, and they can just tell them to go F themselves. So I thought it was you know all up bunch of nothing
yeah,
to be outraged about anyway.
yeah. The right wing will make stuff out of nothing, make a do out of a bunch of nothing. It
Yes.
was really a pile of garbage to hear that, and
Right.
it led further into the week, which I'll talk about a little bit later too. The controversy over
Unfortunately, yes, we'll get into that a little
we're
bit too.
talking, yeah, and actually, what involved a boxer from Taiwan, as a matter of fact. But really, it was really a bunch of a bunch of silliness. Again, trying to make a controversy out of really nothing. Um,
Right.
Luckily,
They're not. They can only see themselves through their American spectrum, and
right,
and
and
that's kind of
interestingly enough, the person who was involved in that scene, she's a DJ. She is now suing over defamation, over some of the damages that she has received, over some of the insults that she has received in regards to that. But a lot of stuff happening at the Olympics this week, Stephen, and let's get into more of it. Go ahead.
all right. Obviously, the big controversy that's been dominating the headlines is the Algerian boxer who apparently punched the Italian female boxer too hard, and that the Italian female boxer quit on the spot with within less than a minute into the fight. and then turned out to be there was this stuff about the Algerian female boxer being a cis transgender or something like that, but when in fact she was actually the female, and then that really brought the worst out of people and the celebrities. The notorious author J.K. Rowling's, of course, of Harry Potter fame, who's really has done a good job tarnishing her reputation in recent years, of course. Pat McAfee here in America, obviously, getting outraged over stuff that he admittingly said that he knows nothing about and has yet to offer any sort of a formal apologies. And of course, the Logan Paul, the controversial YouTuber, now WWE star, obviously, making claim about spreading some misinformation and openly admitting that he might be spreading misinformation, which in fact you are indeed, buddy, and somehow there's a bit of a double standard between him and the WWE, which some of their wrestlers have long been in support of transgender rights and LGBTQ people, like Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville, Damian Priest, and of course Cody Rhodes, which was kind of ironic. I was watching that commercial on, I believe, maybe what channel was that? A&E the other night, when this controversy broke out, and Logan Paul literally, threw himself in the ring, no pun intended, in objecting himself into this controversy camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also, as I mentioned, a Taiwanese boxer was also involved in this as well. She was also accused of being transgender when she was not. And as a matter of fact, she boxed earlier today and won her bout. But again, misinformation spread against two boxers who said they failed gender tests when this was not the case. Interestingly enough, it's the International Boxing Federation has been thrown out of the Olympics. It is the IOC that's running this tournament, interestingly enough, Stephen, because of the IBF's ties to Russia.
You mean IBA, right? IBA,
right? Yeah, the International
Boxing.
IBF
is the International Boxing Federation. That's the for the boxing championship sanctioning government, and an IBA, I believe, is now run by relocated to, ironically, Russia, which obviously leads the world in when it comes to spreading misinformation and propagandas now. So it's kind of fitting that they're heavily involved. And go ahead, Ken. Sorry about that.
Yeah, right. So it's just ridiculous how these things happen, Stephen. The IBA is, as I mentioned, is run by a Russian who has ties to Vladimir Putin, and he is also a person who is just really, and also their main sponsor is Gazprom, which is a Russian gas company. So
gas energy company, yes.
Yeah, the Olympics threw them out. You may have seen their sponsorship of the World Cup in 2018, which was held in Russia. And also they were, before Russia got into trouble in the world stage, they were also a heavy sponsor in the UEFA Champions League as well. So, but now those ties have been cut. But it's really unfortunate about how these things happen. We talk about there are a lot of openly gay and lesbian athletes, the most we've had in any games. And when we want to talk about inclusion, this is just really awful. By the way, the women's 100 finals in athletics and track and field is about to start. So if I'm distracted by that, Stephen, but right now, Sha'Carri Richardson of the United States is going to be in that. Interestingly enough, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price was not allowed to get into the staging area earlier. She and Sha'Carri Richardson were not allowed to get into their normal route. There was a rule change yesterday. And now, as the 100 has just started off, Sha'Carri Richardson, right now, I don't think she's going to win this one. It looks like a runner from the Bahamas, the Bahamas has won. I think the Sha'Carri Richardson, who was the big favorite to win in the 100. She won the world championships last year. She instead will lose, and it's actually a runner from St. Lucia that wins. That's a huge upset in the women's 100-meter final. When we get more information, we'll pass it along. We can't, of course, show that as Stephen mentioned. Any highlights that we show will be a mark, and we'll get in big trouble. But anyway, Sha'Carri Richardson loses in the 100 meters final here in the Olympics. So a very big upset, one of the biggest upsets we have seen in track and field. A huge upset, and I think Sha'Carri. I'll find out the exact order of finish coming up as the results get official. But very interesting to see that St. Lucia with the win and going away. Sha'Carri Richardson was not even close. And as I mentioned, Richardson won the 100-meter. She's a world champion, won last year. She is now. She was hoping to be the Olympic champion. Of course, if you remember 3 years ago, Stephen, she was not allowed to go to Tokyo because of a positive marijuana test. So, right. Interestingly enough. But yes, we'll talk about the boxing as we can go on. Go right ahead, Stephen.
Well, as I mentioned, there are so many people who have injected themselves into this controversy. The boxer, of course, is from Algeria, Imane Khalif. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's really brought out the worst in people who have no business, none whatsoever, speaking about on this matter without any background or even doing some sort of a homework, which obviously doesn't take that all of that time. It's not that difficult to learn about the subject. For her, from being Algeria, which is a Muslim country, and to think about it, something the Muslim countries, of course, unfortunately, the female rights is basically non-existent, and for somebody like from LGBTQ or trans community, they're either sent to jail or they're persecuted or even killed. So right. To think about it, why would a country with that kind of laws and dubious records towards women or even LGBTQ/trans community would even send a so-called trans boxer in the first place? If you know if you know about it, you would learn that they would never do that. And for clicks and likes, for the bunch of idiots out there wanting to do a fake outrage, especially in this day and age, it is absolutely embarrassing. I think a lot of people like Pat McAfee himself, he kind of continues to go down this path where it's more than likely that he kind of loses his credibility more and more each year, that he kind of speaks something that he, I wouldn't say that he has no business talking about, but if you're going to talk about it, do with facts. You got people on your show who does these things, obviously paid to do fact checking and stuff like that. And I understand that some of the great people from the ESPN and the ESPN.com has been let go over him to make probably $15+ million, and he talks shit about the ESPN management and the and so forth. So again, people like McAfee's the world, they really need to be very, very careful about how they present themselves without even having the facts straightened out. Do better. And obviously, unfortunately, this isn't the first time, whether it's Pat McAfee or anybody else, and it certainly won't end from here on out, Ken.
No, and as you mentioned, Pat McAfee stoked the flames. He said he wasn't the best person to speak about it. Well, then, if you're not if you're not the best person to speak about it, don't speak about it. Don't talk about it. Don't bring it up. And I know that you want to talk about the issues of the day, but you've got people, you've got your own research team there. Use them. use them, and it's not a good look for Pat McAfee. It's not good look for anybody who speaks about on this and just makes silly remarks, and that's what happened. That and it's just really, the fact is that you get people like this. You have people like Sage Steele, former ESPNer, who's also trying to jump on the train. Um, you know,
Right.
it just doesn't make them look good at all.
No, it isn't. It isn't. And again, I'm highlighting your website, the article from Katie Leber. It's about more of a, culture war that we are,
Yep.
in this country more so than anything else. And it's kind of embarrassing that the hysteria of sorts that goes when it comes to discussing. LGBTQ or trans rights, and it's a reality that unfortunately that does bring controversy along with ratings or the outrage that fuels these people in this day and age. Ken.
Yeah. Again, it's a situation, Stephen, where we're seeing people who make comments, and they just react sillily. They react in an ill-informed manner, Stephen, and it makes people, and it riles people up. And as we mentioned in regards to this controversy, the Italian boxer says she wants to apologize, but it's too late. The words have come out. She made these comments, and now it's basically ruined the reputation. It's ruined the reputation.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah,
it's
it's
late.
it is. It is. It's just kind of pathetic, and it's really weird that the whole WNBA controversy this summer and everything else. We're getting upset over stuff that most people don't never even care much about women's sports in general, and all of a sudden now they're acting like some sort of a moral police. Watching these people, and even Simone Biles and Katie Ledecky, their wonderful accomplishments and career aside, especially in this tournament, there are people out there openly wondering if they're had a sex change. They were originally men having sex changes into becoming a woman because of their sheer prowess and dominations, like similar to what the Williams sisters had to deal with when they were dominating the women's tennis, being accused of being a transgender and all that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah,
kind of really sickening. It's embarrassing that an Italian boxer all of a sudden had to turn her change, and then her next opponent from Hungary, posted a even more insidious social media post comparing the Imani Khalif, excuse me, Imani Khalif, with the like a, what is that? The big horn, like a devil, portraying her as such, and then promptly getting herself beat up, and then at the end of the match, she can barely look into Imani Khalif's eye, and it was just so embarrassing. And then again, it's kind of fitting that somebody from Hungary, which obviously is dominated by dictator Viktor Orban, who is very close with the Russia again. Acting in such insidious manner, and of course, country of Italy, which is dominated by the right-wing government there as well. So it's almost as if these things are all aligned, and it's not a coincidence that people here in America, the right-wingers, are all being outraged over something that's all about much ado about nothing, like you said earlier, Ken.
Yeah, and also as you mentioned about Katie Ledecky, I know that she may not be traditionally she doesn't have the look that a model's look, but she's very attractive. She's still very pretty, and she's a person that you would want to have, and sponsors have come up and have very willingly signed her up. and because she of the values that she has, and she doesn't have controversy. She doesn't go out and have hot takes. She just goes out there and swims. She loves to do swimming, and by the way, she is swimming in the 800 meters right now, in the 800 meter freestyle, and her rival Ariane Titmus of Australia is trying to hang with her, but it's early in the race. But we'll see. Katie Ledecky should win this rather easily for another gold medal, which would be, I believe, her third gold medal in these Olympic Games. Actually, her second. She won. She won the 1500 meters. She won a silver in the 4x200. And we'll see how this goes. But right now, she and Ariane Titmus are dueling in the pool right now. So anyway, but in addition to that, some of the words about Katie Ledecky this week are just ridiculous. Saying, "Oh, she's a man," because she doesn't look like traditionally, and also too in regards to the rugby sevens, one of their stars.
Oh yeah.
Also been called out because she doesn't look feminine enough. So what is feminine enough? What is feminine to you? I mean, she came out and looked very, when she was wearing makeup in an interview with the Today Show, she looked feminine enough to me. So I don't understand these people who they're, as you mentioned, Stephen, they have their values. They're trying to project their values onto everybody else, and it doesn't come off well.
No, not at all. And I think it's kind of fitting that the way they're acting about women dominating so far in these competitions, whereas men so far haven't won a single gold medal from what I read earlier today.
That's true. The men have not won an individual gold medal at the swimming pool. That would break a 100.
Well, not just the swimming, but overall in general, I think.
No, and the men have won. The United States men have won individual gold medal. Ryan Krauser won today in the men's shot put.
Okay. Well, up until they won, the shot put, yes.
Yeah.
Before he won today, I think no man has won today so far.
Well, they won the team. They've won team They won team golds, but not necessarily the individual golds. But yes, go ahead. Your point's taken.
Okay, so my point is that I think it's kind of fitting that the same people who are attacking women for and accusing them from being sex changes and all that stuff are the same people who are openly trying to take away women's reproductive rights issues and so forth. That is becoming a main core focus in the this year's upcoming elections, both presidential and also on the local level as well. So, I mean, save me with your fake outrage about, women's sports and talking about, women's rights needs to be protected and all that bullshit. You don't care much about it, and selling your fake outrage for whatever that you're trying to gain out of. We can see you clearly through and through, and eventually. I hope those people will eventually get exposed and get called out for and get the the criticism and then the lambasting that they truly deserve, Ken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, Stephen, it's just out of hand. As we mentioned before, people get outraged over what they want to get outraged over. They try to project themselves onto us. And hopefully I know misinformation is out there; it's easily accessible, but you have to know where the right sources are to turn to keep away from these things. So it's just you got to know, you have to understand it, you have to know, and you just have to do things that that you're able to get to, and I just it's just not. I'm just. This week has not brought out the best behavior in people, but also that there are other stories that in regards to, like, for instance, earlier today, in one of the 100 meter meets, a Laotian runner fell, and then a rival who could have easily just kept going on turned around to see how she was, eliminating herself, and then having and had medical people come out and help her. So, it's stuff like that. We talk about the Olympic spirit, and sometimes it's hackneyed, but sometimes you see stuff like that, and then you're like, okay, things are right. Things are okay. So you want to see more things like that rather than what you heard on the controversies that we've heard earlier this week.
Right. And then, medias themselves are not helping. As you can see here about, Boston Globe, which obviously is a paper that you're very familiar, living in that neck of the woods, Ken.
Mhm.
Certainly with this insidious headline about, transgender boxer Imani Khalif advancing, which is totally flat out wrong. And media themselves, especially in political scenes that we're starting to see in mainstream media playing themselves with misleading headlines, try to stoke fear because it help them sell papers or help them self advertising or whatever. It's not helping, and it just makes us lose faith in media as well as the people who cover these pieces, no matter how long they've been in business. So you lose all kinds of credibility, whether as a paper itself, as well as the people who work hard on a regular basis, because of one single headline written by, these writers, and without getting much checked by the editors. As somebody, you do these for a living, Ken. Obviously, these types of things cannot happen, no matter what the reason is, right?
Well, I'm not going to defend the Boston Globe on that.
No,
They've had.
I'm not asking you to defend, but I'm just
Yeah.
asking from
No,
somebody who does it for a living.
I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to try and defend them. They've had their own cutbacks, but that's laziness not to check on a story like that, knowing full well what the situation was. But it doesn't help them at all, and it's not very good. It's not very good. By the way, Katie Ledecky is probably going to win. Is just on her way to win the 800 meter freestyle. It's probably the closest race she's had. Arian Titmus will finish second. She's 2 meters behind, and the United States swimmer will also finish in the bronze. But Katie Ledecky will win another gold in the 2024 Olympics. So congratulations to her. Arian Titmus finishes second, and Madden will finish third. So she gets the bronze. So congratulations to them.
All right, let's switch to a little bit more of a upbeat subject. Obviously, NBC and Peacock is carrying the Olympics, and here's the headline from your site, Awful, announcing Peacock viewership surpasses all previous Summer Olympics combined. It's incredible, with the excuse me, Ken, the the NBC's wall-to-wall coverage, which now includes Peacock, their streaming services, and they have the Olympic Gold Zone, which of course you can see here, featuring the NFL Network's Scott Hansen, who does the NFL Red Zone during the football season. So just before the football kicks off, he is in his rare form during the similar type of Gold Zone, which I haven't seen it, but obviously I'm assuming this is something that you can only see on Peacock because of
Yep.
it. And and then you have the Snoop Dogg, and Keenan Thompson and Kevin Hart, obviously doing the late night
They're doing a highlight show.
Olympics highlight show, which has obviously drawn a lot of massive rave reviews, interesting comments from all three gentlemen, and then Mike Tirico doing the regular highlight shows on a daily basis on the NBC network of televisions, and it's amazing what Snoop has transformed himself into in this Olympics. We all knew Snoop was a cultural icon. He certainly outgrew himself from being a rapper from the Compton, the West Coast, to becoming just a global cultural icon now. He and Martha Stewart has had some good runs together. Obviously, they were seen together at the Olympics. I don't know which event they were. I know sometimes, over reliance of celebrities, which is common with the sporting events that we see on a regular basis. Last week, I think Fox Game of the Week featured Boston versus the Red Sox versus the Yankees, I should say, and Matt Damon and Casey Affleck was obviously in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were there for the whole game, but it's not common. And but with the Snoop, it seems as though it doesn't seem to be a little bit of it doesn't feel like an overkill. Maybe I might be wrong on that, but what do you think of the? Oh, it does.
Yeah. I mean, they've been seen everywhere. I mean, they and Martha Stewart. He and Martha Stewart were seen over at the equestrian event. He was over at the gymnastics. I mean, he's being used by NBC as it's fine. It is what it is. I tried to avoid NBC's coverage. I watched BBC from the UK. I've been watching Nine Network from Australia and CBC through Canada through a VPN. I have watched Gold Zone. I have put down that NBC's viewership numbers are a little bit suspect, and I'll tell you why. Normally, they would measure prime time and then other windows, but they're combining their their window from 2 o'clock to 5 p.m. and the prime time, and also their online viewership. So that's where they're getting their numbers from. I'm not sure prime time is doing as well as they think. I'm also, but also I will say that their outside numbers of, like, for instance, non-traditional windows, where like the women's team final, which had 12.7 million viewers, Stephen, in the 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock window, did very well, and that's better than any of the NBA games finals games this year. So interestingly enough, NBC is doing some pretty well in some non-traditional windows, but as far as their overall viewership, I find it a little bit suspect. That's the way they want to view it. Advertisers were told that's how they were going to do it, so that's fine. And advertisers are very happy, so that's the main thing. But overall, the way that NBC is combining their viewership numbers is not the way that they've done it in the past. So I take their viewership with a grain of salt. I don't really, are a lot of people, are more people watching than in Tokyo? Yes, that is true that it is because of COVID. People weren't into the Olympics really 3 years ago when we had that, when, you really didn't see people in the stands, and Tokyo really didn't embrace it. We talked about that 3 years ago, but I'll be honest with you right now. I really think that this year people have embraced it, but the numbers are just totally different.
Mm-hmm. Well, we got 1 more week to go. Obviously, the Olympics. More events are going to likely take place. Of course, there are so many other events that are happening, and that obviously not being able to watch it on real time, or you have to probably get up real early in the morning because of the time difference between the U.S. and France, about 5-6 hours. So unless you're a diehard, you're going to have to probably watch it on prime time, delayed coverage or highlight shows.
I will say that the 2 to 5 hour traditional. I mean, a lot of people are working from home now, so I think that's helping the numbers a bit, especially in the 2 to 5 live window. So I have a feeling, NBC is they're not. Let me just put it this way: even though I said the NBC's viewership numbers are a little suspect, I will say that they're popping champagne corks at 30 Rock right now, and in their NBC Sports headquarters in Stamford. So they're pretty happy right now.
Oh, I bet they are. So obviously, they want to have something positive, NBC themselves, and certainly, NBC getting the NBA, securing the NBA, broadcast rights starting next year after the NFL regular season is done on Sunday Night Football. We'll probably have a Sunday Night basketball coverage as well.
Yeah,
they're on a roll, certainly, NBC Sports over there. So, certainly something that they have to feel very, very good and positive about. And obviously, live sports is certainly back again. And, it's very, very exciting. Obviously, 3 years ago, It was basically, you know, it wasn't really worth watching that all that much. There wasn't a same level of excitement and joy that normally the sports would bring, and uh, so it's a night and day, certainly where we were 3 years ago when we had the Olympics in Tokyo under a much different situations. But certainly NBC has to feel great about what they have invested in, and in return, along with the people like Snoop Dogg's involvement in every sports. He's visible everywhere. Certainly, another person, Flavor Flav, also becoming a sponsor for the what is it, the women's polo team? Is that polo team?
Yeah, the water polo team.
Water polo team. Thank you. Being a sponsor there as well. Certainly, these are the types of people who are doing, God's work more so than anybody else, and at least should be more celebrated more so than anything else. But again, you have one more full week of coverage of the Olympics, and then once it's over, then it's straight on to football. And speaking of which, we're going to transition into the football. 2024 NFL Hall of Fame actually ceremony is taking place. It all started, as Ken said earlier at the beginning of the show. We had the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, which was normally on NBC, but because NBC is doing the Olympics this year, it moved on to ESPN/ABC for probably this year perhaps only.
Yeah,
And
that's only 1 year. Only it was a one-off because it's in NBC's contract. NBC will have it next year.
Mm-hmm. The game was called off due to rain. The Bears beat the Texans 21-17. Obviously, it was just a game featuring a bunch of backups. The game was a little bit sloppy, because of the field conditions. I don't know if it was due to not maybe due to the rain, because I don't think we didn't see any rain fall down. Maybe it was just the field itself, just basically was turf that was not conducive to good playing conditions. Thankfully, nobody was seriously injured in that ball game, and they made the right decision to end the game because of the rainstorm that was not going to go away anytime soon. And nobody should be subjected to watching fourth stringer play the rest of the game. And, the game at that rate could have probably gone all the way until 1 o'clock in the morning had they decided to play it out. But anyway, the Hall of Fame ceremony again is taking place this afternoon. And, as a Bears fan, I'm very, very emotional thinking, or at least just moments ago, watching Steve McMichael, the a former great Bears defensive tackle, who has been bedridden due to ALS for the last few years. Unfortunately, was not being able to attend the ceremony in person. So his wife, Misty McMichael, was in attendance, and earlier today, just when he was, unable to attend, you saw his former teammates and his family and friends were in attendance at his home, and they unveiled his bust while he was bedridden. And I got to tell you, Ken, I got a little bit emotional watching that, and to see that. And I know sometimes that it takes for Hall of Fame, votings. There's a lot of criticism, certainly, because it takes time. Sometimes the players themselves they get overlooked so many times before they're inducted. And I'm not saying that he should have been inducted just before because his ALS diagnosis, but at least I felt that the ceremony and the way it was done for Steve McMichael, given his deteriorating health conditions. Thankfully, they covered his face because we all know that what he looked like, unfortunately, nowadays. But I thought it was very, very touching here. His teammate Richard Dent showing the bust to Mongo. This is his wife. There was also Jimbo Colbert and Mike Singletary somewhere in the back here wearing the gold jerseys themselves. And I thought it was very, very touching. And then Devin Hester also made it. He is the only first ever return specialist to make it. Certainly well deserving. I thought it would take a little bit more longer because obviously special teamers never really get the the credit or the attention that they deserve. Certainly, it changed a little bit maybe about a year ago or two when Ray Guy made it as a punter, and then now Devin Hester. So, next year, Adam Vinatieri is also up for the voting. Certainly, he should be getting there as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it was a special day, at least for being a Chicago Bears fan. And certainly there are other well-deserving, Hall of Famers as well. Randy Gradishar, another senior committee selection. Really, really, unfortunately, gave a long-winded speech, somewhat borderline rumbling. Unfortunately, after Mongo's emotional, ceremony, kind of took the air out. Dwight Freeney from the Indianapolis Colts also made it. A terrific pass rusher, somebody that was, a menace on that Colts defense, which obviously but was kind of overshadowed because of the Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James, among others, though, and Reggie Wayne, too, on the offensive side mostly. But certainly, Dwight Freeney made his marks in his career. Andre Johnson, one of the great receivers, certainly, one of the receivers that dominated the NFLs in the 2000s to 2010s, along with Calvin Johnson, Terrell Owens, Randy Mosses of the world. It's kind of funny that the receivers are kind of a lot of them are still very much have not been voted in. Torrey Holt certainly put up a very good number, even though he was surrounded by great players like Marshall Faulk and Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner, among others, and Julius Peppers, a terrific defensive player who mostly played for the Carolina Panthers, obviously his hometown. And then, of course, Patrick Willis with the 49ers, the linebacker, who unfortunately his career was really, really cut short, but was a very dominant player for about maybe 7 or 8 years in his own rights. And I got to tell you, certainly all of them are well deserving. Next year it will be very, very interesting. Adam Vinatieri, certainly up there. I want to see him get inducted the very first time. I think it's a no question. One of the greatest, probably the greatest kicker of all time. You saw him play, of course, up in that New England area. Very clutch for an entire career. And then, of course, Eli Manning's name is going to be up there as a first time. For the very first time. There have been a lot of questions about if Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer or not, whether he gets in the first time or when he gets in.
He is. I mean,
oh, you think so?
Oh yeah. Anytime you beat the New England Patriots twice, the most evil organization in the world, he deserves it. I mean, especially beating the Patriots and that undefeated team, and then coming back again and proving you could do it again. Also beating in that great playoff run, beating the Dallas Cowboys 3 times in one season. I mean, is he traditionally a great drop back quarterback? No, but he's a clutch player. So I do think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But in regards to Adam Vinatieri, I know everyone talks about a great clutch kicker he was. I don't think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Also in regards to Steve McMichael, they showed a video of him at his house today.
Yeah.
And he, of course, was out of his bed. He was on a cane, um, almost like hunched over. But it was great to see him. He seeing his teammates like Mike Singletary and all those great '85 Bears players who came to his house to unveil his bust, and his wife was there too. Very emotional, Stephen. Great video to see if you haven't seen it on X or Twitter. It's a great piece of video. A wonderful thing to see. Um, really a wonderful thing. I admit that because of the Olympics, I have not been paying attention to the NFL. And like I said, I didn't really know that the NFL Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony was taking place today. All I knew is that there was bad weather in Ohio. So I put two and two together, Stephen, that they must have delayed it. And he said, yeah. And you said, yes. So, but to be honest with you, the NFL always does take a backseat to the Olympics, especially during this time of year. They'll get the headlines back when after the closing ceremony next Sunday, and of course we do have preseason games taking place. That'll be starting up this week, so you can get your NFL fix, and you'll be able to see it. And then the networks will have their one preseason game, I think, in week 2 of the preseason. So it'll be fun to watch.
Right. The Hall of Fame game was a one-off thing, obviously. But next Saturday, I think that's when the preseason games starts to kick off. Many games will start to take place, Saturdays, and should dominate the airwaves. Fittingly, it will be very, very interesting to see, how the other teams and will start to take its shape and form. And, the Bears and the Texans, who they face each other in week 2 on Sunday Night Football, I believe, actually didn't want to show too much of their, stuff out there with the regular starters, obviously playing in such a, bad condition. So, again, next week, that's when the preseason football starts to really, really kick in, and obviously that's when the football season has officially has arrived. All right, Ken, now let's kind of wrap it up here with our sports Saturday. The sports app, correct me if I'm wrong, Vemu has officially been announced. This is the sports streaming or
Venue
platform
called
Venue. Okay, aptly named there, but it is a sports streaming service which features, correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, ESPN and Fox Sports, among others,
and TNT Sports.
TNT, those 3 major ones. Of course, we all know TNT still has the NBA, at least up until this year. And then, of course, Fox and, of course, ESPN. They were originally announced for a price of $42.99. This was officially announced. I don't know if they've made the official launch date yet, but
this fall.
Ken, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, they're going to start this fall. It's going to be the whole thing. The whole plan was that, ESPN and TNT, which would have the NBA together, and ESPN and Fox, which would have the NFL together, and then ESPN and Fox, which would have a lot of college football. The main thing about this is that Venue, with the TNT losing the NBA, you just now wonder about their value. Now, yes, TNT has gotten some some new sports properties like the Big East and a new contract announced with the conference this year. They also managed to get a very small portion of the college football playoff, which was contracted through ESPN, and they also got the French Open. But is that going to be enough to hold their weight with the ESPN and Fox? And I doubt it. So I'm wondering if maybe down the line that they'll be kicked out and maybe another partner will be brought in. But at this point, the 3 partners are forging ahead. One of the reasons why NBC got the NBA was to offset Venue and kick TNT out of the NBA. So we'll see what happens there. But $42.99 to me, Steven, is just way too expensive, especially for the value that you're getting. Um, it's you're getting, yes, all of baseball because all of those three partners have the contracts with Major League Baseball, but you're not getting all of the NCAA tournament, which CBS has one half of it, and TNT Sports has the other. And yes, there's the NHL, which both ESPN and TNT have. But when you're talking about sports, it's not a one-stop shopping. You're not
Right.
getting, you're not going to get NBC, you're not going to get CBS, and you're not going to get golf on
Mhm.
it. Yes, there'll be the Masters and the PGA Championship, which ESPN owns one half of it. But when you want to watch your major sports, that's not where you're going to go. And $42.99 is not a good value. So I don't see where people are going to be. I don't see a rush to sign up for this, to be honest with you. Yes, Peacock has a value because not only do they have the NFL, but they have the Olympics. They prove their value. They're going to have the NBA. They have the Big Ten. They have golf. They have other major events that you can watch there as well. So I see the value for Peacock, especially if they're going to try and keep it low and keep a price below $20 a month. But when you get Venue and they're trying to, in essence, try to fund their sports programming by trying to get people to sign up, I don't see where you're going to get it at $42.99. I don't see where the value is, to be honest with you. That's way too expensive.
Yeah, again, watching sports continues to get expensive, and if you throw in other platforms on top of it, like Paramount Plus and so forth, it just continues to get more and more expensive for average consumers. And I know it says that $42.99 locked in for 12 months, but then after 12 months or so, I will guarantee you, and I tweeted this yesterday or so, that it will be about $50 to $60 next time, a year from now, when they announce an inevitable price change to cover the cost, whether they lose viewership or whether it's just not making any money or whatever the reason. They all will just raise the price up because they can, and because there's going to be a need for it. And again, I do wonder how much of the interest is there for this amount of price. And it's going to be very, very interesting if this is going to unravel at some point, because different companies are going to be bickering with each other over the costs, or whether they're getting enough money in return and so forth. So it will be very, very interesting to see this venture, how it plays out, and if there's going to be, how many people out there are willing to, sign up for this service, even with the, price locked in for 1 year, if at $42.99, which is quite expensive for, just watching sports in general, Ken.
Well, I will say just now, the United States just defeated China, and in the mixed 4x100 medley in the pool in a world record time. So United States dueling communist China all the way down to the end. They were like neck and neck. Tori Husk managed to out-touch China. Australia got the bronze there. So congratulations to the United States winning another swimming medal in the pool, just out touching communist China at the end there. So, but yeah, Venue is just again. I could see if they were saying, "Oh, wait, we're going to start an introductory price of $29.99, or maybe $20 or $19.99 for everything," and that's how you attract people. But when you say, "Oh, it's going to be $42.99," and it's one of the more expensive
Streaming
sports.
services out there. Yeah.
I mean, Nesson 360 is like $39.99, and that's for the Red Sox and Bruins. But luckily, I have a subscription to Fubo, so I'm able to get it free that way. But still, I don't see ESPN, TNT, and Fox saying, okay, if you have a connection through your cable company or your streaming service provider, you can get it for free. I don't think that's what they're going to do here. They want to get the money, to fund this whole thing, and they know it's going to be a money loser. So I really don't see a lot of people rushing to sign up for this, Stephen.
Yeah, it will be very, very interesting to see, whether this venue platform, first of all, whether it works, and second of all, whether they, whether the price at $42.99 instead of saying $24.99, like you said, should have been the starting point. They set the price target very, very high, and obviously, sports is a huge content platform that it drives interest and obviously attracts viewers and sponsors. So obviously, they have that in mind too. But we'll find out if this is a something that they're going to regret because they set it so high that it just turns off, average consumers like you and I. Well, Ken, listen, thank you so much for your time on this Saturday. Obviously, the work schedule the past month, July, just was so busy. Now that it's August, hopefully, whether it's this upcoming Wednesday or the next one, we'll get back into the regular weekday schedule, hopefully on Wednesday nights. That's when Ken is off work and has time off as well. We look forward to getting back into the normal, regularly scheduled recording live streams starting this month. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about. The Olympics, it's still ongoing, with the closing ceremony next Sunday. The dark days of summer, obviously, with the baseball season ongoing. And also the NFL preseason is about to kick off, etc. We have at least things to talk about. So thank you very much for everybody joining us on this Saturday afternoon, wherever you are. As you can see, our YouTube channel can be found at youtube.com/@fangsbites, which is the similar to Ken's obviously X Twitter handle as well. For Stephen Negishi, I am now for Stephen Negishi and Ken Fang.
Oh, you're Stephen Negishi. I'm Ken Fang.
I'm so sorry. I don't even know what the heck I was saying. I'm very, very sorry. Now, on behalf of Ken Fang, I am Stephen Negishi. I want to thank you for joining us today on this Saturday, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope you will enjoy watching the Olympics this weekend. Ken, if you have a last last words, please go ahead as well.
Yeah, I hope to get a guest maybe this Tuesday. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Who that is. I don't know. I've been very. This guest has been very elusive. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to jinx it. But this person, he's. I did speak with him briefly at a media conference call a couple of weeks ago. But let's just say this. I hope that we're able to get him. And if we are, I will make an announcement, and Stephen will make an announcement on his channels as well. But thank you very much for watching the double 18. We will talk to you next week. Have a good day, everyone.